Mike Vrabel, Drew Petzing, Anthony Weaver. 3 interviews in the books. Pete Carroll, anybody? Anybody?
Right here.
Anybody on Pete Carroll? CHGO Bears starts right now.
Looking live at the CHGO Bears Podcast. You probably don't remember that anecdote, do you, Adam?
Just turning into Brent Musburger?
Thank you. I feel good about that. Do you understand that?
Do you know Musburger was doing Raiders games on the radio for a few years? Like, nobody, I feel like, but me knew that.
That was exciting when he did it. Like, that was recent. He was old. Yeah. Let me just say, when I think about the start of my football journey, You Are Looking Live was really that was the genesis of being able to sit here today with you fine people. Adam Hoge, Greg Braggs, Mark Carman with you.
But you know what Brent Musburger would have done?
What would he have done?
He said he would have said You Are Looking Live on a Sunnyside Thursday.
He would have said that. Go ahead, why don't you talk about our friends at Sunnyside?
This is the CHGO Bears Podcast. You should visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
All right, so thank you to Sunnyside. We love you, Sunnyside. We'll talk more about Sunnyside coming up. But we're going to talk about now. There are major movements in the force.
Yeah, there are.
Well, I don't think Mike Vrabel has incorrectly reported on this show by yours truly that he was ever in the building, but he was
I tried to tell you right away.
He was in the building on the Zoom, but not in the building as in the building. Doesn't matter. They talked to Vrabel, and
just got another GM opening, by the way.
Oh,
the Raiders fired Tom Telesco.
He had a good run.
Just draft the greatest rookie tight end of all time. Fire the guy.
Well, the whole head coach.
I love the NFL. What a world.
Hey, listen, here today, gone tomorrow, not just NFL all over everywhere, but it's always interesting. What happened between the end of the season and today that you finally decided that, okay, now you want Tom Telesco up? But anyway, regardless.
If you're listening to the podcast, by the way, Greg is here too.
How you doing?
What are you doing over there?
I'm tweeting the link.
I did that.
I know, but then we both did it. It's a long thing. Just let me handle it.
Okay, you handle it.
Yeah, yes,
no
sir.
problem.
You handle the
roof
show.
Across the street, by the
I'll
way.
eventually join the show.
I'm just gonna keep staring at the
camera. I think you
camera.
should turn around and look at the person behind us and just figure out if that person is of a danger or not. Is that okay? I think that's okay.
We're fine.
Okay.
Seems a little distraught.
Shout out to Naked Guy.
Yeah,
guy.
Apologies for Cole
Shout out
Kmet
to
hitting
Kevin.
that wiffle ball on your
That's
roof
that's not our guy Kevin. That's somebody else. I don't know who that is. I've never seen that before. All right, let me stay on track here and just dial up. Shout out to Courtney Cronin, did a great job kind of recapping everything that's going on. And Hoge, it appears that I don't know if the media is doing this or if the Bears are just coming to their senses, but from now on, you get an interview with the Bears. You ain't flying coach a la where I would be. You're going first class right to Hallis Hall, baby. You're getting the premium seat. You're going to get a glass of champagne if you want it. You're going to have all the good things because you're coming to a first class organization that is the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, so Courtney Cronin with a nice little nugget in her reporting says that candidates will be flown in on first class. Let me check my watch. It is 2025 now. 2025 now. And this falls under the category of things I'm like, why does that even need to be reported? Not from the stance of like Courtney did anything wrong. Courtney, that's a very important nugget, but the fact that it needs to be reported and laid out there is an indictment on the Bears.
Can you imagine if maybe this is how they were doing it before? A, We got you on Southwest, but we did upgrade you to the A level, so you can pick whatever row you want. You'll be in the first 15.
Yeah, I mean, they even do that for us here at CHGO.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they did. They paid when we went to Arizona. They paid extra to have us in the A group.
No,
You missed that?
I wasn't on that flight.
That's right. You did your own little.
I
weird
did
thing.
my own thing.
By the way, I'm doing the same.
Shout out.
I'm on my own for the Super Bowl.
Hey, Brandon Spano, everybody up there who it's probably above Brandon's decision making. We don't need that A thing.
And we also have breaking news.
We do?
We do.
Don't. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
From Tom Pelissero,
Yeah.
the Raiders fired GM Tom Telesco.
Come on. We
You
did
just
this.
you just out-carmed Carm. I'm Carm, by the way. We did just talk
Wait a
about that for
minute.
3
Wait a
minutes,
minute.
not like 2 minutes.
I'm gonna go jump off the roof with that guy.
Did we talk about this?
For like 2 minutes, dude. It was you out. That is a more.
I was tweeting the show.
That is a more out-carming of Carm in the history of the show.
All right, I'm back. I'm back.
The best part is I saw what he was about to read.
Yeah,
I let him
You
do
let
it.
me do
I
it.
let him do it because
I'm working.
but we really had like a back and forth combo.
I wasn't
dude.
listening.
Clearly
it
not.
wasn't just like mentioned. It was like an actual conversation.
I mean, that's impressive. And it's okay, by the way. I support you fully.
Yeah.
This is not an easy job. You got a lot going on over
I
there.
do.
Actually,
do.
I'm with Mike. Yeah, take a lap.
Yeah,
We
Yeah,
should make Mark
No,
take
that's
a lap.
that's a foul. You have to take a lap.
and by the way, after that lap, should I do how I'm walking lap? Because
I had a really sad moment. This
Mark's walking like he crapped his pants.
okay.
we're off to a rocking start today.
Wow, we have moving cameras.
This is amazing.
This is next level.
By the way, he doesn't know anybody who's on the Notre Dame team.
By the way, Greg, for the record, when I said lap, I meant around the whole office, not just a 10-foot
That's
radius.
a good lap. All right, I'm here. Okay, let's talk about Tom Telesco.
No, let's not.
Jesus.
We were talking
Whoever
about
else we're going to talk
we were
about.
talking about how the
God
Bears are
dang.
actually flying candidates to House Hall in first class. Which, by the way, wasn't it Cap had that report? Cap said that
Cap had that report.
Yeah.
Cap had the report that the
Dan
last
Quinn.
coaching surge, Dan Quinn flew coach.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes.
Apparently near the back of the plane. Was it that specific? I forget.
I didn't get. Yeah, I didn't know if he was in 27F, but
Okay.
non-first class was frightening enough.
I'm
How much are
warning.
the Bears worth?
I am warning everybody. This is going to be a Meatball Hoge episode, which is why I wore
Oh,
my
wow.
my.
Well, and that's the
My
thing.
hoodie
And
that-
this is a point I've made here on the air a few times, is with Dan Quinn, getting flown out and coach.
Never mind.
Wow.
You know what? Never mind.
Like you said, meatball later. What? Do I got to take another lap again? What did I do?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just keep going.
I might have missed that one too.
What?
I was just saying. Okay, I was just going to acknowledge why I'm wearing the sweatshirt, which was
Why?
Mondays are better when the Bears win. I forgot.
not Monday.
I forgot to wear this on Monday.
Because
In part because I forgot I owned it. In part because the Bears never win.
Mhm.
So it was that buried in my closet.
Okay, good story.
Anyway, I'm just warning people. Some Meatball Hoge is going to come out in this episode, and the first item of Meatball Hoge was when I read this nugget about Bears flying first class. Can I just be honest? What my first reaction was. That's why they interviewed Mike Vrabel over Zoom.
we just saved ourselves $800 now that we got into first class. That's an expensive ticket coming out of the East Coast.
Well, wait, they're not going to do this private jet for the
Well,
final?
that's also mentioned in Courtney's story. Like, some teams will bring a private jet.
Most teams go private jet. We've upgraded from coach to first class.
Didn't we do a private jet for Julius Peppers? Isn't that how that went down?
I don't know.
That Lovey flew out and
That's-
brought him back. I thought that's how that went.
That could be entirely correct, but
It's been a while.
but that's a big time signing or whatever.
But here's the point of tying it to this coaching search when you talk about why that's relevant of Dan Quinn getting flown out in coach. Now the Bears putting out hey, this time we're going to put you first class. Well, guess who Dan Quinn shares an agent, or his agent they share with? Ben Johnson.
Mm.
Ben Johnson has the same agent as Dan
Right.
Quinn.
So they got the upgrade.
And so when you connect the dots with Albert Breer's reporting from Ben Johnson, a month ago where he said, I have 3 criteria for the teams I'm looking at. And one of them, and the last one being that the teams, need to learn from their mistakes of their past failures. That would include flying out top candidates in economy.
Well, let me dovetail off that into Bo Chanton's comment here, which I think I do wonder about this. They interviewed Vrabel over Zoom because they know he's going to sign with the Patriots.
So let's address that.
Let's
because I have some strong feelings on this. Okay,
Yeah.
I am going to, although my New Year's resolution was to stop giving the Bears the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to break that right now and try to give the Bears the benefit of the doubt in that there will be a second interview, and that interview will take place in person. We did a segment here yesterday where we compared the Bears and Patriots jobs, and one of the things I said the Bears would have the edge with is their facility, which cannot be shown over Zoom.
Whoever put in the chat earlier today that they gave him the middle box on the Zoom, that was funny. Keep going.
But I'm not going to lie. If this ends with Vrabel taking the Patriots job, and maybe he would have taken it regardless, and maybe that's where this was all headed regardless. But if this ends with that, without him stepping foot inside Hallis Hall, unless we later find out that it's because Mike himself was refusing to do so, I don't know how we can take this coaching search seriously. Because there's no restrictions with Mike Vrabel. He's allowed to come in your building. Get him the private jet. I know that they fly private. They go out to visit some of these coaches sometimes. The time they hired Matt Nagy, George McCaskey, Ted Phillips, and Ryan Pace all flew on a private jet from Minnesota to Boston to Kansas City. I think that was the order, to meet with Pat Shurmur, Josh McDaniels, and eventually Matt Nagy, who they hired. That was all reported by Adam Johns at the time. So they do this. How you would end this, how you would get through this coaching search and not have Mike Vrabel, who in my opinion is right there at the top with Ben Johnson as the most qualified candidates, and not wine and dine him at Hallis Hall. Even if you think it's a foregone conclusion he's going to the Patriots, do everything you can to change his mind.
Right. And so here's I'm actually getting a little annoyed, angry right now, just thinking about it in the moment, because the Bears are seemingly having a problem living in reality. And there are some really obvious realities here. And with Mike Vrabel, the reality is he won 3 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. They have a really good quarterback, too. He has a huge tie there that he doesn't have here. If you want Mike Vrabel to come here, you better wow the living shit out of him to get him. You have to fly him. You send the private jet. You have to have the most money offered. You have to be wanting him and realizing that, hey, we want this alpha dog coming in here because he's exactly what we need. And you have to be willing to be an organization, by the way, that's willing to have an alpha dog and get out of the way, which seemingly they don't have any of that.
Well, and the other aspect,
let me just make another thing. Like, the reality thing, dude. George, it matters that your GM and the head coach are aligned. This matters. I've never heard that before. I mean, what are you talking about, dude? Literally, everybody is talking about this, and you're sitting there saying, I never realized that. They just wanted. That's because one time in your entire career, and his name was John Fox, you hired somebody who was a head coach before. Sure, Matt Nagy or Matt Eberflus or Mark Trestman ain't going to care if he's aligned because he wants the job. But if you want an established dude who has credibility, it matters. And by the way, if we want to just go one step further, the other guy, Kevin, massive progress on the stadium in the city. What reality is that? What are you talking about? The only time we've ever hear anything about the stadium is that there's a no-go, no chance. When will they move to Arlington Heights? Massive. The reality needs to land in Lake Forest at some point, and most Bears fans realize that maybe it just never will.
Well, and the other aspect of this too is, okay, you don't want to fly him out private because then you'd have to fly out the other 16 candidates privately. No, you don't. There's some that are
Right, yes,
more valued
correct,
than the
correct.
others.
Well, that's the other, this is not an even playing field.
Right,
Like if they're
100%.
just, well, we're going to put everybody on Zoom.
If Drew Petzing is offended
Put him
that
on the
he isn't
Greyhound.
held in his high regard as Mike Vrabel, that's exactly why you don't hire him.
Drew, we
'Cause he
got
doesn't know himself.
Well, he's not
You're
allowed.
not Vrabel.
But he's not allowed to
You're
interview
Drew
in person.
Petzing.
Yeah, exactly. Petzing, we got an Amtrak for you. It's got we got you a sleeper car. It's gonna take you a couple days, but you'll get to see the country. Oh man!
Don't worry, I got more Meatball Hoge coming up.
Okay, good.
And this one, I'm excited about.
All right, more Meatball Hoge coming up.
I'll have more breaking news as well.
Okay. Actually, I just
That
have
was
one. What
bullshit.
did you just rip
He's
off?
gonna tell us. He's gonna tell us Gerard Mayo got fired.
What did you rip off your computer and crumple up over there?
Like the thing that's over this.
okay.
But yeah, no.
Okay, all right. That was
The
just
sticker?
like
That whole thing to start the show was bullshit.
oh,
So, anybody that's passing judgment in this chat, I got some words for you that I can't say. I already said a word I can't say. But I got other words for you that I can't say. And all I know is, you know what? There's a lot going on here, and it's too much for my brain to handle sometimes.
all right. More Hoge Meatball coming up. More of that too. But first, shout out to our friends at Sunnyside, your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where you want to go for the highest quality and the best. And exploring, discovering, and purchasing a wide array of their high quality products. Thank you very much. I just got tongue tied there. It's your one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. You know this, you love it. Sunnyside has expertly created their menu, 100 strains to choose from. You cannot go wrong. Sunnyside has locations in Wrigleyville and River North and in the suburbs and in Champaign and South Beloit. And, and more. Lincolnshire. They drive by it every day and think, that is a great place for me to stop on my way home. Mindy's, Good News, Cresco, all the good stuff. This is what you do. Visit sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Use that promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders.
Hey, and if you're looking for tickets to anything, really anything, it could be a sporting event, concert, comedy, theater, go to Game Time. Check out Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. So with Game Time, you're going to get the super deal. You're going to be able to see seats before you buy. They have on-time ticket delivery that's guaranteed. They have a low price that's guaranteed. And they offer event cancellation protection, even job loss protection. They have you covered all the way. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee.
Via our intrepid reporter, Gary Ross. Shout out, Gary, sending me this from Albert Breer. The Tennessee Titans put in an interview request. This is Breer tweeting. Put an interview request for Bears assistant GM Ian Cunningham for their GM job. And he continues on. Cunningham was a finalist there 2 years ago and has a relationship with President of Football Operations Chad Brinker.
Yeah, there was some smoke with Tennessee right when they decided to fire Rand Carthon. If I'm Ian Cunningham, well, Ian Cunningham's in kind of a tough spot because he turned down the Arizona job a couple years ago. He was a finalist in Washington, which would have been a great job now that we've, kind of seen how ownership's worked out there. Ownership in Tennessee right now seems to be a mess.
And it feels like that'd be another job that Ian passes up.
But I don't know how many more opportunities there's going to be. And right now there's only 2 jobs open. The other one we just found out.
They have a new stadium coming.
They do have a new stadium coming.
Bears don't, but
the Bears
Tennessee don't.
Buffalo does. Jacksonville does.
Northwestern.
Northwestern does.
$850 million. Beautiful.
The point is, there's not a lot of opportunities, but the fact that we never really talked about this the other day, the fact that they've removed Ian Cunningham from the interview process right now with the head coaching candidates because they want him to concentrate on his opportunities to be a GM is a pretty strong indication that they think he might take a job this cycle.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that was one of Cronin's late notes there. Cunningham will be a part of the process when time allows while he seeks general manager opportunities.
But also, it's also a job, an information protection.
Right.
If you're
Because if he
gonna have
takes
him
a
do-
job where they're looking for a head coach.
Yeah. Which Tennessee would not be one of them, but the Raiders would be. So if he sits in 10 interviews with the Bears and then
Well, and
goes
how
and
do you-
takes the Raiders job,
Right.
he's already had 10 interviews done.
Right.
Essentially.
I mean, we ran into this almost last year with Ian because he's part of the process of trying to figure out who we're going to have at quarterback, and he might have taken the Washington job as a GM, right? And then they're looking for a quarterback.
And
so
thanks,
conflict.
Gary. Yeah, obviously the Jets job is open too. So 3 GM. The Jets don't count.
Well, an important aspect of this, though, is the draft pick compensation the Bears would get if Ian Cunningham signs as GM of another team. It would be 2 third-round picks, correct?
Yeah, and that would start this year. You get that 3rd-round pick right away.
Good note, Steven.
So, yeah.
All right. I'm ready for more Hoge meatball, by the way.
Okay, so here's the deal. And I get it. Everybody's excited about the coaching search. We are excited about the coaching search. It's the biggest story of the week. All this stuff.
We're also terrified of the coaching search.
I mean, but I just want to back up the truck a few days. Because I don't think, and maybe it was just because I wasn't on the post-game show other than from Lambeau Field on Sunday. But, like, I've been covering this team for 14 seasons now. I have been to Lambeau Field for all but 2 of those years when I was in here.
Uh-huh.
I have seen the Bears win in Lambeau Field 1 time before Sunday. So that was the 2nd time. Can we just – I just feel like we need to back up and at least soak it in one more time that the Bears did beat the Packers on Sunday. And this is coming from, I think a place deep down in me.
Do you want us to get up behind you and like do a dance of like Packer win? Or what should we do to make this like really sink in for you? I could stand on one leg.
No, it is singing. I'm just here. I'm getting like an algorithm of especially kids, and even my sister sent me a video of my nephew going nuts when they won the game. Which is funny because his dad is a Packer fan. But like that was a meaningful win. Whenever you beat the Packers, it is meaningful. I don't care what the records are. This is supposed to be the greatest rivalry in the NFL. And I'm watching Hard Knocks last night, and you know what the greatest rivalry is? They're talking up Ravens Steelers, and they play again this week. It has been replaced in this century. It is no longer Bears Packers. It is Ravens Saints. Or it's not Saints, Steelers. I don't know why I said
right,
Saints.
because they play meaningful games. I know you understand that.
Right.
We were playing Malik Willis.
Oh, so it doesn't matter.
Correct. Matters less. A little bit less. I know they're gonna hate me for this. And I know I just burst your meatball bubble.
No, you did. Because my point is that forget all of that. The Bears beat the Packers. You are, as a fan, are allowed to enjoy that and should enjoy that, especially since this team gave you basically nothing this year. They gave you London, which most of the Bears, as many Bears fans as were there, and we appreciate the ones that came with us, most Bears fans were not in London and couldn't really soak it in the same way. But anytime you beat the Packers, that counts. And it doesn't happen very much. We had a great voicemail on Hogan Johns from a guy who was like, I looked at my wife after the Bears beat the Packers and realized the last time they had beaten the Packers, I didn't know her. And we have 3 kids and a dog together now. That puts it into perspective.
Listen, the Cairo dance and this whole thing and the running up to the Lambeau Leap and getting pushed down and the Cole Kmet jump and even the players in the locker room afterwards was all sweet. It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But this whole we're undefeated in 2025 thing.
Well, that's annoying. I have different thoughts on that.
Shut up. You were 5-12. Don't sit there and celebrate something as ridiculous as being one.
Right.
You can do that, but not them.
But
I don't want to hear that from George.
That's
Kevin
not what I'm
Orr.
celebrating. Though.
I know
I'm
you're
just celebrating they beat Green Bay.
I got it.
Which is nice. And Packer fans have been going through it this week over it, and they're clearly mad about it. And you would just think in their place, going to the playoffs, that they wouldn't worry about something like that. But they're just, as Adam Rank called it on After Dark, entitlement town. they think that they're, entitled to beating the Bears every time they play, and that didn't happen. Sorry things didn't go your way. But I know, Carm, you took a lot of heat for your take immediately on our post-game show where you're like, hey, I was rooting against them. And credit to you for your honesty in that moment because, for the fans that want to just meatball it up, hey, I understand that, it's always great to be the Packers. I understand that was a great moment for Caleb Williams and the team. But both things can be true in regards of losing 3 spots in the draft and not being able to pick 7th versus 10th. There is a chance that they'll miss out on a player that they could have had otherwise. And then additionally, the other 2 aspects of this is to your point of, we're undefeated in 2025, which of course I've said as a fan, yes. But what worries me more is a guy like Kevin Warren saying in his press conference at House Hall, I really liked how we finished the year. Yeah, beating the Packers. Well, you finished the year, one of your last 11 games. So please do not cite how you liked how you finished the year. And by the way, DJ Moore fumbled right before Caleb Williams and the offense saved you to get into field goal range. So there is an argument to be made as far as what this team went through from a culture standpoint, that resting on the laurels of a win at the end, great moment, but also – maybe they have them having to wear it all the way in through the offseason and having that bad taste in their mouth and not letting the front office be like, well, we beat Green Bay to end the year. I don't want them thinking about those things. I want them thinking about the fact that they lost 10 games in a row.
And I get your celebration. I do. Go ahead.
Well, but here's my point. My point is really this. It's like, and this is not fan blaming because this is the Bears' fault. But the Bears have conditioned you, Greg, and all of us here aren't even just doing this show, to be thinking about draft picks every December and January. Like, that's what you should be rooting for. You know what I want to be talking about this week instead of a coaching search?
Yeah, being in the playoffs.
I'd love to be talking about these playoff games.
Yeah.
There's some great games. I can't wait to watch them. I would love to be in Green Bay right now. Oh, no, we lost to the Bears. Big whoop. 4.5-point spread against the Philadelphia Eagles. Can we win this game? That should be the show.
I look at the draft every year, man. I mean, at the end of last year, they didn't win their final game of the season, and that was the difference between having the number 9 pick and not. And at this time last year, I was watching Rome Odunze ball out in the Final Four of the college football playoff.
I want to stop rooting for draft picks.
I'm happy Rome Odunze's on our team. And
that's great. They lost 3 more games.
And guess what? There's a guy playing tonight, Abdul Carter, the defensive end for Penn State. I'd love for him to be on the Bears. I don't think he's fallen to 10. So both things can be true.
I know that's not my point, Greg. My point is it would be nice to get back to a world where we can actually talk about football games, celebrate victories, and be thinking about playoff games this time of year instead of draft picks and coaches. And then maybe the rivalry at the Packers would actually be a rivalry again.
Well, that's the point.
For 3 seconds on Sunday, it was
great.
And a bunch of Bears players, including a kicker, tried to do the Lambeau leap, and the fans rejected them.
All that was great.
And words were exchanged, and the number 1 corner flicked off the fans. That should be football. That's my point. That's my meatball take.
And I like it. We that moment was incredibly fun in it. And for the record, I was not rooting against them in my mind. I was rooting for them. The best thing for them is to get a high draft pick so we can get out of this and actually play the Packers in a meaningful game when they're playing their real players because they have to win it versus doesn't matter, 7-6, we'll do whatever. We'll go play the Eagles and see what we can do. Washington's going to win their game anyway. So in my mind, I was rooting for them. I was having perspective. Everybody else wanted their
Crystal's with me.
Everybody wanted.
Crystal and I are going to spend the whole offseason thinking about how the Bears beat Green Bay, and we're going to have smiles on our faces. And you guys can cry about the coaching search.
Yeah. Look, as long as you're on Team Crystal.
Tom Telesco.
Wait, the Raiders fired Tom Telesco?
So there was there is one team in the NFC North that did figure out how to get out of the abyss, and that, of course, is the Detroit Lions. Yeah. And
who beat the Packers in the last game of their season once upon a time when it didn't matter, and look at how it turned out for them.
But so that's another thing, too. Okay, I got 2 things that are annoying me. One, comparing that.
This is like number 13.
Yeah. Well, don't compare that Lions win over Green Bay when they had won 7 of 8, had 1 bad loss, and had a great winning streak that turned their season around to the Bears winning the final game after losing 10 in a row. It's completely different.
Who's doing that? That's the first time I've heard that.
A lot of people are doing that. Oh, the Lions. The Lions turned their entire season around and then just blew a shot at the playoffs and then just was like, all right, I'm sorry, that sucked, but we'll still go up to Green Bay and end Aaron Rodgers' career on their field when they were trying to get in the playoffs and kick their ass when they were trying to win. Presumably, we did what no, you didn't do what the Lions did. You won a meaningless game against Malik Willis. It's not even remotely the same. And the other thing that's annoying me too, Ryan Poles, if you tell Bears fans that Rome Odunze is going to come in here and do more than any other Bears receiver, as use that as a talking point of success, that's not a high mark, by the way. Dude, Johnny Morris is the all-time leader. You can't say that your draft pick's good because he's going to beat Johnny Morris. Your quarterback's not good because he's better than Sid Luckman. This is ridiculous. Or Caleb did more than any Bears. It doesn't matter. All the Bears quarterbacks sucked, and and the receivers sucked too. So don't use that as evidence that you did something good. It's ridiculous. It's the lowest bar.
I'm not allowed to make Johnny Morris jokes because last year I did, and Tom Waddle yelled at me, shamed me for a whole day.
Compared to receivers around here, he's great. No, man. No.
I'm just laughing because
that's ridiculous.
We got to hit a break here.
That's ridiculous.
Our Lions guest is sitting in the waiting room.
I'm sorry, Jake.
Things are going great here, as you can tell, Jake.
Jake Riepma, who does a phenomenal job with Locked On Lions. He also just got hired down in Dallas, working with my friend Sean Sharif. He's going to give us a little look at Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn after a moment. Jake, appreciate your patience. But first, shout out to our friends at Empire Today. Get Shop It on Convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire is the best place to get new flooring. There's going to be a bunch of copycats out there. Empire's not going to be beaten on quality, on service, on speed. So a bunch of competitors, they might advertise low-quality products. Empire's not going to carry that. Empire's giving you the good stuff. Empire's also doing it first class. They pride themselves on their convenient shop-at-home service. They're coming to you. They're going to help you shop for floors where you use your floors. You see exactly what the new floors are going to look like in your home with the lighting, with the decor. First class, you're going to love it. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off. You get that discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
That's right. Also want to give a shout out to our guys over at Shady Rays. Future's so bright, you got to wear some good sunglasses to make sure you can see that bright future. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays has you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably have a style in your favorite team's colors, Carm, so you might be able to find some Northwestern glasses to root for your loser team. And plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
All right, let's move along to our guy making his first appearance here. He's got a very big, huge to live up to because everyone's talking up Jake Riepma, who we're introducing to you. Locked On Lions 105.3, the fan down in Dallas. Jake, thank you for making time. First off, appreciate you coming on CHGO Bears.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. And no need to apologize. I was like the Michael Jackson gift there, just having the popcorn as you guys were arguing, because it wasn't that long ago we were doing the exact same thing with the Lions. And frankly, I don't know what the other Lions fans might tell you. I'm still pinching myself because of the years and years we endured. This has been still like I'm trying to pinch myself that this is really happening and what's going on with Detroit.
Yeah, Jake, isn't it nice to be talking about a playoff game and a bye week? And I guess your only issue now is that other teams like ours are trying to poach your coaches.
Yeah, I guess it comes with the territory. And obviously, we dealt with it a little bit last year with Ben Johnson. And depending on who you ask, he might have gone about it in the wrong way. And maybe he learned a little bit about the head coaching process that time around. And with all the more success that the Lions have had, and especially the offense and the numbers that they put on for the vast majority of this season. I mean, Sunday night against Minnesota in the first half, we won't talk too much about that. But as far as both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn just continuing to be, put their resumes out there this season, you can't say enough about how much they've done. So obviously with the continuously changing landscape of the NFL, there's going to be a lot of organizations lining up at the door to offer them an opportunity.
Well, and how much of is there any credit for the offense's success from Dan Campbell? Because I think for a lot of Bears fans, they're like, well, Dan Campbell's just the culture guy, but Ben Johnson runs the whole offense. And I think a point I've tried to make to fans is that I think that Dan Campbell, because of his attention to detail and emphasis on, the culture that they've built there, that also has a lot to do with the success that they have, going on that offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with Dan Campbell, you get the sound bites and the press conferences and you're biting kneecaps. And that is, a lot of what he's built the culture around. But to insinuate that Dan Campbell is not an X's and O's guy as well, I think is rather insulting. And you look at his time even before he became a head coach when he was an interim with the Miami Dolphins. I mean, he righted that ship back then. And I thought it was kind of surprising that he didn't get the opportunity to continue with Miami. And obviously the Lions are the benefit of that. But obviously there's a CEO component to it of running the organization, building the culture, getting the right guys. There's the management side of it with what Brad Holmes has done as the general manager and how well they've drafted. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, and everybody brought out the screenshots after the Sunday night game where the Lions were getting a D grade for drafting Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round. And so you have to give a lot of credit to the front office and ownership. I mean, the number of shows we did on 97 Win the Ticket before I moved to Dallas about sell the team. I mean, Barstool made shirts with Martha Ford's face on it to sell the team. And so there's always, when you're losing and you're not having success, the easy finger pointing is to ownership. But I remember when Martha Ford came out and said, she gives Dan Campbell the vote of confidence. This was 2 years ago. And things really did turn around after that. And the belief in ownership, the belief in Brad Holmes and and even Chris Spielman and the fingerprints he's had on the building of this roster, all the way down to the head coaching job that Dan Campbell's done. And then that trickles down to, yes, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn from a coordinating standpoint as well.
Hey, Jake, take your best stab at what could or should the Bears do if they really want to impress Ben Johnson? What do you think he's looking for?
What was funny about that is a couple of weeks ago, that report came out that Ben Johnson wants to be wowed in the interview process. And obviously I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I think you can use the term control. He wants to have his fingerprints on it. And for as much credit as we give Dan Campbell, for having his fingerprints on the Lions as a whole, make no mistake about it, that offense runs through Ben Johnson, and the dynamic and the relationship he's built with Jared Goff to resurrect his career. You think about that comes into play as well, what kind of relationship he can have with his quarterback, with the Bears. Obviously that's what we're talking about right now with Caleb Williams. I mean, the opportunity to groom Caleb Williams to be, one of the upper echelon quarterbacks in the National Football League and to be an all-time great. You look at how he's been able to resurrect Jared Goff's career, and it's only been 1 year for Caleb Williams. Obviously, there's going to be some rookie growing pains, but that's got to be appealing for Ben Johnson. And I honestly, and this is as Detroit of a take as I can give you, I feared the Chicago Bears entering this season. Everything that they did to load up on offense, and you guys are probably so sick of hearing this, but the potential that was on that Chicago Bears offense, and even though Caleb Williams was a rookie, I legitimately thought they were contenders to win the NFC North. And maybe that just shows you that I'm not plugged in enough to the way things work in Chicago. But I honestly think there's still so many components to a scary, scary team, especially on the offensive end with the Chicago Bears, that has to be appealing with Ben Johnson. And then the dynamic with the general manager, with Ryan Poles, and can he and Ben Johnson work together? I heard you guys talking about that a little bit, and I think that is so crucial if there's chemistry there. And sometimes chemistry has to be organic. It's not something that you can force. And you look at the Raiders firing their general manager, and maybe all of a sudden Vegas is a more appealing destination for Ben Johnson because it is the definition of a fresh start, and you are starting from ground zero there. Whereas in Chicago, there's a few other moving parts and a couple other layers that have already been pre-established.
Yeah, Greg, I don't know if you heard this, but the Raiders fired Tom Telesco.
I did hear. Did you hear that, Jake? Tom Telesco.
Jake, okay, so I don't think there's any debate that Ben Johnson would be good for the Bears from an offensive standpoint, but they're hiring him to be the head coach. Do you think Ben Johnson, from what you know about him, will be a good head coach?
Absolutely not. He's going to be a terrible head coach. Nobody should hire him. He should stay as the offensive coordinator for the rest of his career. I mean, he's happy in Michigan. I know he lives in a beautiful suburb, Canton, Michigan. His kids go to gymnastics class. Everything is great. Why would you ever? But no, obviously being a little facetious. I think he's got that factor, that it factor, and you don't really truly know until there's, when push comes to shove and there's some adversity that you face as the head coach, and all of a sudden it's 100% your responsibility. And it's as a coordinator, there's no place to, you don't go to a meeting room thinking, how can we put up 50 points this week? You go to a meeting room in front of a team saying, this is crisis management. How can we win the game? And the perspective changes. And until you're, I guess, quote unquote, thrown in the fire, there's really no way to evaluate how he'll perform in that role. Now, there's certainly cases you can look to and say, this guy failed or this guy was successful. Obviously, the Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahan's, the list goes on. That's what you're hoping for in a best case scenario. But there's plenty of instances in which guys are just good coordinators. You see it on offense, you see it on defense. And, I joke, but I do think that Ben Johnson has for lack of a better term, the stones, maybe not quite Dan Gamble style, going for it on fourth down in your own 20-yard line and leading the NFL in fake punts for the last 2 years and everything else that comes with Dan Campbell. But I think that inevitably rubs off on him, and that style of aggressiveness and being a leader of men. He's learned quite a bit from Dan Campbell, and you would expect him to take that to wherever he ends up, if he does end up going somewhere to be the head coach.
Well, he is going to end up in Chicago, and your worst fears are going to be realized. But I do, just before we get to that point, I am curious, from last year's offseason, there were some rumors about Ben Johnson may not have interviewed well, or that he was going to go to Washington and then decided not to and didn't tell them until the last second. So was there anything within the interview process last year that would lead us to believe that something might not go right this year?
As far as, mistakes that he made, I don't think you'll see that this time through. I think you really will see it be Ben Johnson's choice. And maybe that's a little bit of a blown up and overplayed cliche, but he's interviewing these teams as much as they're interviewing them. And again, that's a cliche, but I don't think the whole, there's only 32 of these jobs, you got to take a head coaching job, I don't think that resonates with Ben Johnson. I don't think he feels that pressure, and the proof or his resume in everything that he's accomplished as the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, I think does enough. And maybe that again comes across as a biased Locked On Lions guy and studying this team and following him as closely as I have. But I don't know how, you would have to really, really botch an interview and show signs of all different kinds of red flags for a team not being willing or being cautious to take a risk on hiring Ben Johnson as a head coach.
So real quick then, was there anything from what you read or what you gathered with your Lions coverage that he didn't interview well?
No. And I don't think, with the virtual interviews, obviously on Friday, he's got a couple of virtual interviews and then a couple more on Saturday between Jacksonville, the Raiders, Chicago. And that just shows that, with the first round bye, obviously the schedule allows for that for Ben Johnson to be able to dive in head first. And I don't know how much, and the Patriots, sorry, that's the other team, but I don't know how much you really put as far as stock into a virtual interview until you get into the meat and potatoes of the process, and you have them to your facilities and you see them interact with players, with management, with the front office and everything. And part of that too, if you look internally, is what do you value as an organization? Do you value, if you're the Chicago Bears, do you value if he can walk into a room and have the charisma to command a room, or do you value if his offense leads every statistical category and he's resurrected Jared Goff's career? There's different components to a resume as when you're taking that step from a coordinator to a head coach. And I don't see any red flags of Ben Johnson interviewing poorly or doing anything that wouldn't make him a very, very attractive candidate.
This might be a layup question, but we're talking about Ben a lot. We haven't mentioned a ton of Aaron Glenn here. Jake, I'm giving you an expansion team. You have no players. You're hiring the head coach. You can have Johnson or Glenn. Is that close in your mind, or is that all Johnson all day?
Well, I don't want to get too, nerdy and granular with the parameters of this fun exercise, but it's Ben Johnson. I think the Lions as a team, yes, Sunday night and most recently the defense was great, but they're not 15-2 without Ben Johnson. And I know Aaron Glenn's dealt with a ton of injuries, and Aaron Glenn has the resume that he played in the league, and that resonates with a lot of guys. But schematically, what Ben Johnson as an offensive genius has compiled in the body of work over his time as the offensive coordinator with the Lions outweighs what Aaron Glenn has done as the defensive coordinator. And this is no knock on Aaron Glenn, because again, it's very, very close, and there's no wrong answer to this hypothetical proposition here. But with Aaron Glenn, the Lions defense has not been good when Aaron Glenn's been the defensive coordinator at times. And yes, there's a lot of factors. And even this year, there has been some times where you look at the defense and they couldn't stop a nosebleed. And you're just wondering, okay, can they do enough? Maybe force a turnover here, or the offense gets the ball the last possession of the game. And I heard you guys talking about the Lions 8-8 season, or whatever it was, 9-8 season, where they beat Green Bay on Sunday night and ended Aaron Rodgers' time with the Packers. That was a season that had a lot of ups and downs, and they fired Aubrey Pleasant as the defensive backs coach earlier in that season, and a lot of people felt like he was the scapegoat for Aaron Glenn. And so it's not like Aaron Glenn has had this overwhelming run of success. Is he hot right now? Absolutely. Does he deserve a head coaching job? Absolutely. Would he make a great head coach? Absolutely. And I'm going to stop asking myself questions and answering them. They're both viable candidates, and they're both slam dunk hires, but I'd give the nod to Ben Johnson over Aaron Glenn.
Jake, if Johnson leaves the Lions, what happens with the offense? What happens, like, when you guys have that discussion? Who takes over? Where do they go?
Will they die?
Yeah, yeah. We might just cancel the rest of the, as an organization. No, you hope that Mark Brunell would stick around. There's a lot of rumors that Ben Johnson would be taking him with wherever he goes. Obviously, I used the fact that Aaron Glenn played in the league. Mark Brunell, the same way, has a lot of pull with players, and if he's ready to call plays as the offensive coordinator, that'd be one area that I lean, because I think the part of what's made this Lions team so successful is the continuity and the culture too. I know that's an overblown phrase that we use in sports now that's so important, but the culture is so vital to the success of a team like the Lions. And from the top down, Dan Campbell and company have built that. So the less turnover, the better. And if Mark Brunell, I think he's ready to take that next step as a play caller and to be the offensive coordinator.
Well, you've got Hank Fraley interviewing to be the offensive coordinator in Seattle right now. That got reported this morning. And I know that's somebody that Bears fans would name maybe would be a good fit to be the offensive coordinator behind Ben Johnson if Ben Johnson's kind of the incumbent play caller, right? And you have a guy with offensive line experience. What did you make of, I don't know if you had a chance to see the Jacksonville 1010XL radio hit with Greg Huntington, where he talked about his relationship with Mark Brunell and kind of peeled back the onion about how he wants to come down to Jacksonville. What did you make of that? And I'm assuming Mark Brunell probably didn't want that out there.
Yeah, it rubbed a little bit people the wrong way, I guess. And maybe not, that's a little bit too strong of a way to put it. But I kind of did you get the kind of head nod and you wonder how much substance is really to all of that and how, how substantial and how true that really is. And only Mark Brunell can answer that. And that's why the Jacksonville conversation is interesting as a whole, because depending on who you ask, Trevor Lawrence might not be the guy. And maybe Ben Johnson and Mark Brunell think that's an appealing project and they can fix Trevor Lawrence. And Jacksonville all of a sudden can be a team. But even at its, and maybe this is my Detroit bias getting in the way, but even at it, you do the best case scenario conversation. What are you getting out of becoming the offense coordinator in Jacksonville? And other than his ties that he played there, yeah, sure. But you got a pretty good thing going in Detroit right now. I think the potential for failure or the potential for everything that comes with being involved with Jacksonville Jaguars organization, that risk far outweighs the reward.
Final thing for me real quick. I'm sorry, guys. So when my only hesitation with a guy like Ben Johnson, where you say he reclamated Jared Goff's career, well, Jared Goff did go to a Super Bowl, with the Rams, and obviously he's playing the best of his career with Detroit. He's more of a veteran quarterback that Ben Johnson had to work with. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville, again, a veteran. Like, how much can I trust, as much as Ben Johnson is a great play caller, has a great offense, top 5 in the league last 3 years, that I know that he can develop Caleb Williams, who still has a learning curve to go?
Yeah, and that's a good question. It's a fair, I guess, hesitation with someone like Ben Johnson. But I also would really put a lot on the line to say, if you don't want Ben Johnson doing that with Caleb Williams, then who do you want? And with it only being 1 year that Caleb Williams has been in the league, and you guys could probably answer this better than me, but I mean, watching his highlights and everything and how he's progressed, obviously it's a roller coaster as a rookie, but there's so much potential there. And he's drafted number 1 for a reason. And the fact that he has the weapons around him, he has the tools to be successful. And maybe Ben Johnson is just that missing piece to take to the next level. Based on what I've seen from Ben Johnson over his time as the offensive coordinator, I would be writing him a blank check if I were the Chicago Bears, because I think 100% he can develop and help Caleb Williams take that next step and take what he's already shown, which has been, there's been plenty to be really excited about. And now there's more to it in developing an offense. You got to have guys to protect him and so on and so forth. And what Ben Johnson has done with the Lions, I think really shows that it's certainly something he's capable of doing.
And hopefully one day we can point back to this interview and say everything you said is right and the Bears ended up landing him.
They're going to lose Ben Johnson. They're going to lose Aaron Glenn. So this is your last chance, Detroit. When you lose those guys, you're going to go back to your loser ways. Thank you for coming on.
No, the only thing I got to say, though, I heard some Northwestern shade in one of the, and no pun intended with your Shady Rays read, but What are we doing there? Go Cats. It wasn't that long ago. I was a student on the sidelines watching Hoge as the sideline reporter, carrying the cameras, and I was just a college kid. And I was too afraid to go up to Adam and introduce myself and say I want to be you someday. But I don't stand for the Northwestern shade being thrown. Unbelievable.
All right, this is Jake. I thought I liked you, but now when you're going to gas up Hoge, A, that's a big miss. Well, B, your Northwestern affinity. Carm is an obnoxious Northwestern fan. Like, I don't know. This is not a great way to finish.
Jake, first of all, you should have come up and said hi. But second, you
probably had that resting Hoge face.
I probably did. That's on me. That's on me. There it is. That's the face.
Is that the look he was giving you, Jake?
You probably saw that. You're like, he's too intimidating.
Intimidating as hell, man.
I got to work on that. Sorry, man.
No.
But
those were some fun years, man. I mean, I know Clayton Thorson isn't walking through the doors right now, but Preston Stone, look out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we're focusing on Michigan State on Sunday, and getting back to the tournament for the third straight year. Cat basketball is carrying the mail right now.
Oh my gosh,
Jake,
that's saying
see,
something.
you know this then, because inside Northwestern circles, the thing they talk about the most is, how much better the program was when I was on the sidelines.
Well, and for the record, I did get to do sidelines when Hoge left, and then and I was on the sidelines in Ireland, and they went 1-0, and then they fired me, and then they lost every game the rest of the season. For the record, didn't really get fired; just kind of got slid over. But
I remember watching that game in Ireland, thinking, "Look out, Big Ten championship, here we go."
Nebraska was a thing. All right, hey, good luck down in Dallas. Watch out for my guy Sean Sharif, who's been on the show.
Yeah, Sean's my guy. I love that guy. He's awesome. Although, here's Sean Sharif for you. Hey, man, you got to stop doing so much locked on. You're a Dallas guy, man. You're doing too much locked on.
Just tell him that you'll try to do that and not spend as much time winning a mixed doubles championship in tennis in high school, which is not a thing, except somehow he's on the one high school mixed doubles tennis team, which is actually, I love him for that. Hey, we took too much of your time, Jake. Thanks so much for being here, man. Great stuff.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Jake Riepma. All right. First timer. Ben Johnson all the way, baby.
The only thing I took out of that whole interview is I got to work on my face.
I don't think there's anything to save your face at this point.
Definitely.
At least you heard that.
Yeah.
That was good.
No, Jake was great. That was awesome. It was a lot of.
We're making progress.
That was a good job, Carl. That was a good guess. We got some good
The
information.
locked on guys do a good job, man. We've had a lot of different locked on guys through the year.
I did my intro. I slept on. I forgot. 97 won the ticket in Detroit as well. The guy's been all over the place. He's
So you
high
didn't
flyer.
do a good job.
We did a great job. Hey, we're trying to get out of here, so I'm going to save my Pete Carroll take for another day.
Ooh,
I'm sure we'll have time
teaser.
to talk about Pete Carroll.
Well, I'm going to do that because we have not taken the time properly to. Here comes Hoge face coming back here.
Yeah, this is real Hoge face.
Yeah,
Real.
the newest Chicago Bear.
Oh no,
This guy
Carman's gonna have to do a lap.
Is now he's on the roster. His name, no one's talking about this guy. I don't know why. They signed Jordan Murray. Jordan Murray, tight end.
Bill's brother.
Could be Bill's brother. I don't think so, though.
Named after Michael.
He played his college football at Missouri State for 4 years, and then he went off to Hawaii. And he played on the defensive side of the ball for the Rainbows. Probably didn't know that, did you, Braggs?
Definitely did not.
109 catches, over 2,000 yards at Missouri State for I believe they're the Black Bears? Bears something?
Bears.
11 touchdowns. Yeah, I should have.
Bear for life.
He played for a Bear in college. Now he's trying to play for a Bear in the pros. He's been with the Texans. He's been with the Colts. He's been with the Cardinals. He's been with the Giants. And now he's been with the Bears. Now, he hasn't played a game in the NFL yet, but he's gone from practice squad to practice squad to practice squad to practice squad.
A survivor.
And we signed him. And I think this is the year that Jordan Murray is going to get unlocked. By the way,
should he have to take a lap for that? I mean, that's a big waste of time.
If
he does take a lap, then everyone can see how he's walking around like he's crapped his pants.
I pulled a quote from Jordan Murray when he was being.
He's not getting the message.
Perhaps this guy was not getting the respect.
He's got 2 minutes. I mean, we do have to do an hour.
Super chats.
Oh, we have super chats, which
I'm
you're ignoring.
Jordan Murray, I'm fired up to get to work. This is nothing new. I'm no stranger to this situation. Just got to be able to get your foot in the door. The mentality of coming in and having to work, I think I'll definitely put something together and make something of this opportunity. Now, he said that when he was coming into the league with the Texans as an undrafted free agent. 5 stops later, he's about to make that quote true with the Bears. Jordan Murray, enough with the big dog Mercedes Lewis. Murray, Jordan, 2025 Bears. Everybody's asleep, including Raul Martinez and Adam Hoge. And
breaking news, Tom Telesco.
There was actually one other breaking news little thing.
What was it?
Well, not breaking, but Diana Rossini saying that for the Telesco thing, The Raiders did this because they want to align their GM with their head coach, which George McCaskey's never heard of.
Never heard of it.
I think that matters.
Okay.
We'll get to Super Chats. I have a question.
Ooh.
So the Bears are putting out these tweets saying, we have interviewed this person. We have interviewed this person. Is that normal? Like, have we seen this before?
I talked to Hoge for this before the show, and he's saying yes. And I think it's so bad.
I think it's weird.
They did this the last time.
It's weird.
Why is it weird?
Stop doing this.
All the teams do it.
It's just like saying, hey, we had a seat at the table on this guy. I just want everyone to know that we're trying. That's what it feels like to me.
Stop telling them to stop doing things that help us.
It doesn't help us.
Yes, it does. We have an awesome tracker, which we haven't promoted at all on the show today, and it allows us to hit the button that says the interview's over.
That's actually an important point. Tell everybody about the tracker.
Yeah, you should become a diehard. Actually, you don't need to be a diehard for the tracker, but you got to be a diehard to read some of the stuff within the tracker.
Where do you get the tracker?
Extra stuff. But you go to allchgo.com/coaching search, and it's free. And
do this right now. Hoge was at a Starbucks last night at like 10 at night. He was back at 7:30 in the morning working on this.
Yeah. Well, and shout out to Pat
Norton.
Pat Norton. I got distracted by Gary there.
That was another car moment. We've had a bunch.
Get him, Gary.
You had a car moment today, and so did you.
Yeah. Okay, Gary, you tell us.
I'm gonna help.
You tell us Mike Vrabel's in the building when he's not.
I'm gonna help.
No, I did that.
That was you.
That was my fault. That's not on Gary.
Me and
so we're really playing a game of telephone here.
Me and Carm are gonna have our own database with Gary.
Okay.
We'll see whose database is better.
If you could figure out how to do one thing in that database, I'll give you $120.
I'm still teaching him Photoshop. There's no way he's going to get the database down.
Were you good at coloring in the lines back in the day?
Dude, have you seen my signs?
You were good at coloring.
That is one thing he did well this year.
I lock in on the signs.
You're a good sign guy.
Locked on signs.
So, yeah.
It's his new podcast.
Yeah. I just sit there in color.
You're a good sign guy. All right, hey, let's do the super chat.
One thing that's actually important that we didn't mention is Thomas Brown getting an interview for OC
that is
with
true.
the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So we took their OC, and now they're talking about taking our interim head coach, former
They
OC,
watched
former
the Bears
passing
get
game
better with Thomas Brown taking over Shane Waldron, and they're like, ooh, that's what we need to do. We need to replace Shane Waldron with Thomas Brown. It's good logic.
Thomas Brown's getting a job somewhere next year.
He should.
Yeah, and I would be. I am interested. I know it's highly unlikely, but is he a candidate to be that here with the new head coach? Let's say highly unlikely, right?
Depends who they hire. I would not rule it out. There's something to be said for continuity.
Really appreciate Papa Hoge, by the way, chiming in here on the super chats with throw Braggs in the lake.
He did put that earlier.
I missed that.
Or watch your mouth, old man.
You heard that, Papa Hoge. I will.
Hey, you can talk to your mother that way. You cannot talk to my father that way.
He started it. He started
You
it.
started it the other show when you wanted to throw him in the lake.
I might have
Because he
started
talked
it.
about win percentages with the White Sox and Bears.
I might have started it.
Yeah.
You said you were going to throw my dad in the lake?
You did.
When did that happen?
You weren't here that day, I don't think.
Yeah, I did threaten your dad.
My dad when I wasn't here.
Well,
we can't do that. Papa Hoge, you will never again be threatened on the show. We're going to have a post-game meeting about it. All right. Sid M, $5. Appreciate you. Which we talking about here? Delta first class, United American Airlines, huge differences. I actually, as someone who's never sat in first class, I don't know the differences. Is there?
I've never noticed it. I mean, I guess I've probably only sat in first class on American. That's why I usually fly. We'd be talking about United in this instance, I'm assuming, because they're the partner of the Chicago Bears. I would think that they fly them first class on the Bears partner.
It's my new goal in life is to be able to afford first class someday. So I'll just, I don't know, maybe I'll start driving an Uber.
how do we not have a private jet?
$2 from Bear Down Omaha.
The Purdue
They have access to a private jet. I'm telling you that.
Kevin Warren's
They
definitely
use
flying
it.
on a private jet.
Scouting. I don't know if it's like a NetJets thing or Wheels Up or if they actually have their own. I doubt they have their own. But they do have access to charter
Then
flights.
why don't they use it?
They do use it.
No, I mean to bring these coaches in.
Oh, I don't know.
Like first class isn't enough. Use the private jet.
If they wanted to get Mike Vrabel, you had to private jet him in here and literally.
I'm almost certain that's how they got Peppers.
I guess that's my point, bringing the show full circle. It just gives off the vibe that they don't really want the most qualified coach for the job.
I don't think they do. It doesn't fit what they do. All right, Bear Down Omaha, $2. When's the Jason Moss interview, bro? Thank you, Bear Down. Anybody?
I don't know what that means.
Who's Jason Moss?
Oh, yeah, no, I brought up Jason Moss. Jason Moss, my bad, Bear Down Omaha. That was my joke. He was the Montreal Alouettes head coach this past year as they won the Grey Cup championship.
Christ.
Don't laugh at that. That's a Bear special.
Great candidate. I think you're Bear Down. We should pay you for that super chat. Matt, $20. Appreciate it. Fire's burning all around me in LA. I'm still more fixated in how the Bears will blow this coaching search. I have a problem. You guys think Poles is intimidated by experienced head coaches who may want more roster control. I'm not sure it's so much Poles, Matt. And best to you and your family and your friends. And this is an unbelievable tragedy. And I wish somehow someday we'd be better about these things as far as what we can do to stop them.
In all seriousness, more important than the Bears, like that. Thoughts
so terrible.
We were in Lahaina last winter in Maui where they had horrible fires, and it was only like 4 or 5 months fresh at that point. And that was I've never experienced something like that. Like just driving through it and like literally the cars, the houses, the debris was still all right there.
Yep.
And it's like it just totally puts stuff in perspective. So anybody dealing with that right now in California, we know we have a lot of viewers and listeners and Bears fans out there. Thoughts are with
and
you.
even with our team, like Briggs was born in LA, lived in Sacramento, so he has friends and family out there. He mentioned Brendan Nyambadejo had to leave his house and may never see it again. And even Emma, our social girl, his social manager here, social media manager, she's does such a great job, and her whole family and her are from LA, and she has many friends that have lost their house and stuff. So this is
Did she say she had up to 20 friends that have already had their houses destroyed?
You know what I mean? And the pictures are just unbelievable. Just complete communities wiped out.
Yeah, my buddy Brian Ayler's out there. He's the words he's using to describe it in this lengthy email I sent to everybody is apocalyptic. Like that's
right.
That's what it looked like when I drove through Lahaina.
Yeah,
it was like
it puts it in perspective. That's for sure.
I don't even know if you can. Anyway, prayers up for everyone, and thanks for the super chat. Alex Deneau, $10. Carm is the arguable GOAT. That's an awkward transition from that, but thank you so much. Also, would it be worth to hire a coach and also hire Pete Carroll as a coaching consultant to teach Ryan?
Would it be
I think they should just hire Pete Carroll if things go the way I think it's going to go, which is they're not going to get Mike Vrabel and they're not going to get Ben Johnson, and then I'll make the case for Pete Carroll on the next show that we do.
If you have to hire a head coach for the head coach, then you should probably just hire the head coach of the head coach to be your head coach. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Pete Carroll got rid of Shane Waldron.
There you go. You're
hired.
That's part 8. That's probably my 9th bullet point. Figured out Shane Waldron.
No, that's not really true though, because they got rid of Pete Carroll.
All left. Just don't let the facts get in the way of a story.
No, it's a good story. Carroll knew. $2 from Greg Braggs in the stands while he's on the show. Breaking news: I'm not listening to Carm. That's kind of funny.
I spent $0.
And I'm not falling for it. Cornell in the chat thinks, I'm going to have 2 moron moments here. I only have 1 moron moment a show, but he keeps putting in the chat that breaking news, Deion Sanders will interview for the Bears head coach job. And I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to say it. No, I'm not going to actually read it. Like outside of just acknowledging that you're trying to trick me. I'm not going to read it as actual news. So you're not going to get me, Cornell.
Great job, Greg. $5. Can you guys predict the best head coaches for each of the teams with openings? Go Bears. Parker, that's a good exercise for us to do over the weekend.
I thought of that yesterday, that we should be doing that every day to see if it changes. Saints, Aaron Glenn. Patriots, Mike Vrabel. Bears, Ben Johnson. Jets. I have no idea who the Jets are going to hire.
Matt Nagy.
It might be Matt Nagy. Raiders, Bill Belichick. Oh!
Well, Bill Belichick said yesterday, Hoge, that he's not interested in NFL jobs, or somebody said that for Bill Belichick.
Or somebody said that.
I think it was Diana Rossini who said that. Yeah, no, he's not interested. Okay, at any rate, we are
Let's go Irish.
We're saying Greg Braggs
actually brags on that note.
diehard Notre Dame.
That's right. We do have some breaking news here on the show. And here for ALLCITY, we have just released this Play Like a Champion shirt. We have a college line of shirts. This is a real thing, Hoge.
I know, but
Don't laugh.
their season might be over in 6 hours.
That doesn't mean their college will be over in 6 hours. Yeah, ain't it? Jay Zawoski, come sit in Adam Hoge's chair. Here is the shirt.
It's actually a sweet shirt.
It's a sweet shirt. Play Like a Champion shirt coming out. We have a whole line of college shirts if you guys haven't noticed.
There's a Northwestern one. I buy that.
There's a Northwestern one. There's a Purdue one. There's also IU one.
There's a Wisconsin one.
And what's
right,
the
Mario?
Let me get the website correct.
Store.allcitynetwork.com.
Our website?
Yeah. I haven't learned that whole one yet. I just haven't. It's too many. It's hard.
See, he was right. You did have a second F up.
I didn't have an F up. That's why I had Steven read it. I refused to F up. Store.allcitynetwork.com. Boom. Got it. And if you sign up to become a diehard, you can get a free shirt of your choosing right out the gate. And it can be that Notre Dame shirt that you can wear, with pride as Notre Dame goes on to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal, we're getting you a Northwestern one because Crystal is my new favorite Wildcat fan because Crystal's the greatest. You guys have Yeah, we're leaving. Okay. Have a great rest of your day.
You guys what?
Nothing.
You guys
nothing.
what?
Don't listen to don't
listen to you.
Correct.
That's exactly what I did for the first 5 minutes of the show.
Correct.
And everybody gave me crap. Now you're telling me not to listen.
I was going to ask about the plan for tomorrow, but we don't know the plan for tomorrow.
There's a show tomorrow.
There's a show tomorrow.
We have a show tomorrow.
There's a show tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Be there.
I'll listen that time.
Thanks for watching.
We all silly like the mayor.